We've all had a moment in our lives when we've locked eyes with an animal and instantly felt a strong bond and connection, an unspoken understanding and respect for one another that seemed to come deep from within the soul, without any cognitive understanding of why. If we look into history regarding animal familiars, we are taught that animals are brought forth to us in order to assist in magic, finding our purpose in life, and act as a general guide. When we think about familiars, we may assume the animal, more specifically for this post, cat, has been bestowed upon us by the gods and specifically chosen. It runs much deeper than that, as certain cats in our lives are completely predestined from past lives before. The bond and connection that I spoke about is just that, a past life connection where they've left an imprint on your soul that could never be forgotten. In your eye contact, what you're feeling is the reconnection of that soul memory. There is no denying the feeling you get when you're in the company of a feline you know on a soul level. Often, at the first meeting, you'll notice you have goosebumps, an overwhelming urge to cry, butterflies in your stomach, or you'll feel a twinge in either your crown or third eye chakra. Our feline friends tend to get a bad reputation because they are more standoffish than dogs are. But can you blame them? Cats have been getting the short end of the stick a lot in humanity's history. When a new cat comes into your life, did you notice how forthcoming they were with their love? Feline soul companions warm up to you very quickly, allowing you to pick them up, give them all the rubs, and they'll even expose their stomach to you, which is definitely a sign that they feel safe, since that's a more vulnerable position for them. No two meows are equal. Did you know that cats don't meow at each other, but use it as a call out to humans when they need something? I have a sneaking suspicion you know exactly what each meow of your cat means. They have a certain pitch or warble for when they want food, attention, clean up on aisle litter box, when something has spooked them, or for the more spiritual of cats, when you need to address an imbalance within yourself. Each meow has a meaning, and you know every single one of them. They say the eyes are the windows to the soul, and that is no different for cats. Have you ever noticed your cat lovingly gazing at you when they are relaxed on your lap, and you notice just a hint of movement in their iris? Studies have shown that when people are looking at their loved ones, their iris expands and contracts ever so slightly. Cats do the exact same thing. I know we're used to cats having their eyes wide when they are scared and assume that any type of iris dilation is an aspect of fear, but I'm here to tell you that is not always the case. When you see your kitty's eyes widening just a tad when they look in your direction, it's pure love. Make sure to give them a slow blink and tell them you love them in response. An idea that challenges, confuses, and sometimes even angers people is that each of us could be reborn as an animal. When I recently blogged about karma, quite a few of the comments asked more about this subject. So, what is the Tibetan Buddhist perspective? It's important not to be encumbered with ideas from Western culture and society when exploring Buddhism. In particular, there is no reference to a soul in this tradition. No permanent, independent self, personality, or essence which is the real me that exists separately from our body. We need to let go of that idea. The acquired personality is regarded as something which is specific to this lifetime and which ends when we die. Cherishing such a self, trying to concretize something which is, in fact, highly conditional on our circumstances and brain functioning, can only cause us to suffer. However, Buddhism is not materialist. It does not suggest that we are merely physical beings. One of the reasons why Buddhism is called the middle way is because it suggests that between eternalism on the one hand and nihilism on the other is a very subtle consciousness and energy which is conditioned by our actions and experiences through life. Or, in more traditional Buddhist terms, mind propelled by karma. What moves from one lifetime to the next is not a soul, a complex intellect, or a hard drive of memory. It is much more subtle than that. We know that animals have consciousness, that just like us they are, as Buddhists put it, semchins or mind-havers. The idea that the very subtle consciousness that once experienced reality as a human may now experience it as a kitten is not such a weird idea when we understand this pared-down notion of mind. Many of us have had glimpses of how such a thing may be possible from our dreams, when we may experience reality in many different guises besides the one we are so familiar with when we are awake. It is quite possible you may have had a very strong sense of self, even though you were an animal, alien, or some other being, in a dream. If the notion of coming into this world as another kind of being is a little frightening, well, that's why Buddhists call what we have precious human rebirth. As human beings in developed countries, most of us enjoy rights, protection, and limitless opportunities to generate the positive causes for future positive effects. Animals generally have none of those, unless they have the immensely good fortune to end up in the homes of doting pet lovers. Buddha himself once used the metaphor of a blind, crippled turtle that comes to the surface of the ocean once every 100 years, just happening to stick its neck through a wooden hoop, to describe the unlikeliness of being born as a human being with leisure and fortune, which pretty much describes our lives in the West today. What we take for granted, looked at dispassionately, is actually incredibly rare. It arises from a specific cause, virtue. Any being acting in according with virtue creates a cause to be reborn as human. The counterpoint is that non-virtue is the cause for a much less auspicious rebirth, including that of an animal. Failing to make the most of our precious human rebirth to cultivate virtue is sometimes likened to visiting an island littered with precious jewels and not picking up any before returning home. A lost opportunity unlikely to be repeated for a very, very long time.